Welcome to Pixel Peak's first episode of 2020. We're glad you could make it.
It's also the start of a new season. We have a lot of familiar faces joining us during the spring semester, but there are plenty of new faces coming to Pixel Peak too.
While you may not be seeing any of those new faces today, there are a lot of new stories that we have to cover, like how Atari is opening themed hotels across the United States.
Not to mention that the Pokemon Company released their detailed plan for rolling out Pokemon Home, since it wasn't included in the Pokemon Direct last month.
And in classic Pixel Peak fashion, the International Game Developers Association released survey results on game industry, diversity, and crunch, which we'll be taking a look at.
Stick with us after news, because our first review of the new decade is coming in hot from game reviewer Bianca Bortoluzzi. She's taking a look at EA's latest triumph, Jedi Fallen Order.
And for our first analysis of Season 4, we're talking with our PC Analyst Walker Peters about Blizzard's latest release, Warcraft 3 Reforged. Let's just say it's more like Warcraft 3 Refunded.
Sounds like a great first episode for 2020. So let's get started with Pixel Peak Season 4. I'm Kristen Lawrence.
And I'm Laird Davis, and we hope you enjoy your stay here on Pixel Peak. Although it's not another console, Atari is attempting to make a comeback in the form of themed hotels. This past Monday, Atari announced that it was partnering with a strategy group called GSD to build 8 Atari hotels across the United States. The first hotel is planned to be built in Phoenix, Arizona, with assistance from the real estate developer True North Studio. Additional locations are Austin, Texas, Chicago, Denver, Las Vegas, San Francisco, San Jose, and Seattle. The hotels are expected to have VR and AR experiences for guests, while select locations will have gaming venues and esports spaces. Strategy group partner Napoleon Smith III commented, "When creating this brand new hotel concept, we knew that Atari would be the perfect way to give guests the nostalgic and retro meets modern look and feel that we're going for." Smith ended saying, "Let's face it, how cool would it be to stay inside an Atari?" This follows release details of the Atari VCS, which is currently planned for a March release date and has reported to be in the final stages of pre-production.
Nintendo's 6 active mobile games have reached a new milestone, generating $1 billion in total lifetime revenue. 61% of the revenue comes from Fire Emblem Heroes, which also has the largest consistent player base out of Nintendo's mobile games. At a not very close second, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp is bringing in $131 million. Surprisingly, Mario Kart Tour has brought in $86 million in lifetime revenue, only 8% of Nintendo's total, despite seeing the best launch day of a Nintendo mobile title so far in terms of downloads. That trend continues with Super Mario Run, Nintendo's most downloaded game at 244 million downloads, which is only responsible for $76 million, or 7% of the total. Dr. Mario World is their lowest grossing mobile game, which managed to bring in $4.8 million since its launch in July 2019, only 1% of Nintendo's total mobile revenue. Nintendo Switch Online, Dragalia Lost, and Miitomo, Nintendo's social app that shut down in 2018, were not included in Sensor Tower's analysis. Looking at all 6 games, they have amassed a total of 452 million downloads, and as Nintendo continues to see huge success from developing for mobile, there's no doubt that we'll be seeing more from them on smartphones and tablets in the future.
Last week, Bungie released a patch for Destiny 2 which focused on fixing bugs and broken weapons. However, the patch came with some unexpected side effects. After the patch was released, the Bungie Help Twitter account tweeted, "We're currently investigating an issue where players may have lost their Glimmer and/or various infusion materials after 4.7.1 went live." Bungie then followed the tweet by taking down Destiny 2 for emergency maintenance. The patch did not add any new content, but attempted to fix issues with subclasses, armor, and weapon perks. Bungie helped Twitter followed up with a tweet explaining they discovered a fix for the problem and were planning to roll all player accounts to how they were before the previous patch on Tuesday morning, including in-game purchases. Players who accomplished anything within the first hour of the Destiny patch will notice some changes to their accounts. As of now, Destiny 2 servers are back online, and any player still experiencing issues due to the patch can contact Bungie on their help forum or tweet at the Bungie Help Twitter account.
Skybound Entertainment, led by South Korean online publisher Com2uS, recently closed a new funding round with contributions from G Ventures and Third Wave Digital. This recent funding round, as well as the contributions from the two studios, will include a partnership on a new mobile game based on The Walking Dead. Skybound's management team said in a joint statement, Com2uS' expertise in mobile free-to-play games make them an ideal production partner. He continued to say, with tremendous support from C Ventures, Third Wave Digital, and Com2uS, we're excited to work together to reach superfans in Asia and around the world with our existing and brand new IPs. The two companies have worked together since 2017, when Skybound would work on the mobile RPG Summoner's War, and are currently working on an animated television show based on the IP. The Walking Dead is based on the television series from the mind of Robert Kirkman. The Walking Dead has been a popular IP in the past, however, it has seen some rough times in recent years. Skybound terminated its licensing agreement with Starbreeze last year after the commercial failure of Overkill's The Walking Dead, and the collapse of Telltale's games made it uncertain if the episodic series would wrap up until Skybound stepped in to help. The failure of the game had an impact on the perception of the IP, but hopefully the collaboration from both studios improves perception of the Walking Dead franchise.
The Pokemon Company has announced a detailed pricing and launch plan for the upcoming Pokemon Home software, which will be available later this month. Pokemon Home Systems allows players to store their Pokemon online and transfer them to future releases within the series. On release, Pokemon Home will only support transfer to Pokemon Sword and Shield and Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and from Pokemon stored in Pokemon Home's predecessor on the 3DS, Pokemon Bank. Transfer support for Pokemon Go will be available sometime after release. There are a few caveats with the software, however. Like many Pokemon migration software titles before it, Pokemon Home will not let players transfer Pokemon from new games to Pokemon Home or Pokemon Home to older games or services. Although the service is free to use, it only allows for storage of 30 Pokemon from either Pokemon Sword, Shield, Let's Go Pikachu, or Let's Go Eevee. In order to access Pokemon Bank and more slots for storing Pokemon, players will have to subscribe to the premium plan. Premium subscribers will have the ability to store up to 6,000 Pokemon, trade 10 Pokemon at a time, host trade rooms, and use a judge function to tell how strong a Pokemon is. Pricing for Pokemon Home is $2.99 for 1 month, $4.99 for 3 months, and $15.99 for a year, which was more than triple the amount needed to use Pokemon Bank, priced at $4.99 annually. Quote, "The Pokemon Company is slowly changing how it supports its games and players while Home builds on the learnings of Bank. The firm is also trying something different in how it follows up its tentpole releases."
Last year, developer 343 Industries launched Halo Reach on PC as part of the Master Chief Collection, and introduced a progression-based system to unlock custom cosmetics for players. When Halo Reach launched on Xbox 360, players were able to buy any piece of armor as long as they had enough credits. On PC, players have to earn experience points to unlock armor and move through each rank. Those used to the old system were unhappy with the new system and how long it would take to earn armor they would previously be able to buy. This new system brings the problem of experience farming, where people try to earn experience points without putting the effort in. To combat this, 343 Industries announced its first ban wave last December. But in a recent blog post, developers announced the studio would be tackling another wave soon. A spokesperson for 343 Industries commented, "We're aware of some players employing various techniques to exploit Halo Reach's XP system, and 343 is currently issuing bans of varying severities to offenders. 343 did not expand on any punishments other than bans, but it is expected that ban lengths will increase over time.
The International Game Developers Association, or the IGDA, released results of the 2019 survey on developer satisfaction and compared it to the results from 2017, which has shown an increase in diversity in the growing industry. 1,116 people were surveyed, and while most were game developers, others were people who made games as a small portion of their work, or ones who worked in supportive roles within the video game development industry. In a demographic breakdown of North America and other participants, 28% reported including employees with some form of disability. IGDA notes have shown that the representation of women has also increased by 24%, and a majority of those surveyed said they felt diversity in both the gaming industry and general workplace was very important. Both of those numbers are up from past years, with responses at 63% and 66% respectively in 2015. However, only 59% have stated that workplace policies on diversity and equality were adequately enforced. The survey also looked at working conditions and compensation, and 82% of participants said they were paid over $50,000, but a staggering 34% reported that they didn't receive extra compensation for overtime or crunch. For those who did receive extra compensation, 33% said it came in the form of meals or future time off instead of monetary compensation, which only 8% claimed. Although the survey has shown that crunch rates have decreased from 51% of those surveyed to 41%, 19% of employees report working more than 40 hours a week. Game developer crunch has always been a hot topic on Pixel Peak, and we are heartbroken to see that it's still widely present across the globe. At least we can look forward to seeing more individuals finding opportunities within game development, and maybe larger and more diverse teams can lead to a healthier and more collaborative work environments.
That's all we have for this week's news. So let's pass it on to game reviewer Bianca Bortoluzzi for this week's game review.
Star Wars is one of the largest franchises in the world, and games within the series are usually able to keep up with the hype. Although Star Wars Battlefront 2 is still going strong, EA took a leap of faith with a rather experimental game within the Star Wars universe last year. That's right, Jedi. Grab your lightsabers and join me as I review Jedi: Fallen Order.
Developed by Respawn Entertainment and published by EA, Jedi: Fallen Order, a story-driven third-person action game, takes you into the world of Star Wars in a completely new and fresh way. You play as Cal Kestis, a scrappy young Jedi Knight originally disguised as a rigger, a part of the Scrapper Guild on planet Bracca. For the Star Wars fans out there, this game takes place 5 years after Anakin becomes Darth Vader and Palpatine commands the execution of Order 66, the destruction of the Jedi, aka between episodes 3 and 4. Your job as Cal is to find a new Force-sensitive child throughout the galaxy with help from Jedi Master Eno Cordova, ex-Jedi Knight Seer Junda, BD-1, a helpful little droid, and Captain Grease Dritus. A really amazing thing about this game is the fact that you don't need to have any sort of knowledge in the franchise in order to enjoy the game. Sure, there are some Easter eggs that only super avid Star Wars fans will know, but it's by no means a requirement to play the game. You can still thoroughly enjoy it. Now let's jump into this review. From being able to customize your lightsaber to controlling an AT-AT, Fallen Order has some amazing features in it. Even BD-1, the droid Cal befriends on Bogano, was an awesome idea from Respawn, and he helps out in the game so much. It's obvious that each element of this game was well thought out. One thing in particular that comes to mind is the planets in general and the exploring you're capable of doing. I would play for hours on end, not even realizing I wasn't following the main mission just because I saw a pathway that seemed a little more interesting. You can wall jump, you can slide down ice and mud, slow things down, push walls out of the way, use magnets, fire, and so much more. They really took everything you can do in a third-person game and put it into Fallen Order. Mix Lara Croft and Nathan Drake together and boom, you get Cal, which makes sense, he is a Jedi and he should be agile, but anyways. With the exploring in mind, you could also find upgrades for your lightsaber and BD-1, as well as outfits for Cal, BD-1, and Mantis, the spaceship you fly around in. It made the game that much more intense and fun to play. Even on the main missions, you'd have to do all of these things. Combat was already hard as it is, but there were some difficult wall jumps and rope swings in there, and you could find yourself dead in seconds, and you'd have to respawn all the way from the beginning, and just get really frustrated, just like I did multiple times. Speaking of combat, I am not a huge Dark Souls fan, and Fallen Order really follows the fighting style of that game. There are no combos or anything of the sort, and parrying and dodging are extremely difficult and they just get harder as the game and levels and enemies progress. With that being said, there were times I got extremely frustrated and had to put the game down. At times, there would be up to 5 shock troopers and barely even enough of your force to keep most of them at bay, and you can't dodge 3+ attacks from different sides of you all at once. Sometimes my dodging and parrying wouldn't even work regardless of me timing it correctly. There are also some monsters I would face, and it really felt like I just wasn't leveled up enough or ready for them, but somehow luck was always on my side and I survived most of them on the first go. However, the ones that I didn't survive on the first go typically took like 10 times, and it was pretty embarrassing. Another issue with the game was lagging, or FPS. At times, in a new world, everything would slow down and become very glitchy to the point of me having to pause the game and give it a second. And as much as I want to say I love Cal, he's a pretty 2D typical Jedi character. He's not really a super fun protagonist. He's righteous and kind and is never once tempted by the dark side. And I'm not saying I want Cal to be a Sith Lord or anything, but I wish there was a bit more depth to his character. He's had so much happen to him, you'd think he'd lose hope somewhere along the line for a little bit, just to make his character arc a little more interesting instead of the side characters. Now, despite the lagginess and basicness of Cal's character, the animation for the game was seriously amazing, almost breathtaking. Whenever you'd fight against the 2nd or 9th sister and their lightsabers, it was like watching an actual Star Wars movie. The lightsaber is the only weapon you use in the game, besides another one that I do not want to spoil because it's super sick. You can change everything about your lightsaber too, from its color to the entire handle. The game honestly felt like it was filmed in real life. The only iffy issue were the Wookiees. Hair on someone's head is already hard enough to animate in games, but a creature covered in hair? This isn't a movie. CGI doesn't work like that in video games. It's rough. The skill tree was also pretty nice and decked out, and getting skill points isn't that hard at all. However, you can lose them pretty quick if an enemy kills you, but you just have to kill that enemy to get it back. Cal can also learn some pretty incredible moves. And the map is a little complicated and very minimalistic, offering almost little to no help. I mean, it shows you where you are, or where you've been, and maybe where you haven't been, and the places you can and can't enter, as well as your objective, but trust me, it's very weird and hard to understand at first. Overall, Jedi Fallen Order was an awesome game. The storyline was amazing, and EA really hasn't let any Star Wars fans down since they've released Battlefront. Fallen Order certainly deserves all the hype it's been getting for its amazing animation and storyline to its jam-packed maps and lovable characters. If it weren't for the amount of bugs, lag, and awkward battle mechanics I had to deal with, I'd say this is a top-of-the-mountain game. Maybe my PS4 is a little too old for this kind of high-tech game, but Fallen Order is still sitting pretty as a great game. Even if you're not a fan of third-person video games, this is 1000% a game to try out. I know it just came out, but I'm already looking forward to the next Star Wars game EA creates. If it's anything like Fallen Order, it'll be incredible.
Fallen Order was a little buggy and frustrating at times, but it didn't ruin the game by any means. Even though this game is connected to the world of Star Wars, anyone could enjoy it whether you're a fan of the series or not. From the amazing storyline and characters to the frustrating battle mechanic and bugs, I've rated Star Wars Fallen Order a great game. And that's all I have for this week's game review, so I'll hand it over to host and assistant producer Sydney Thompson for this week's analysis.
Since World of Warcraft Classic released last year, Blizzard has been working on a true remake of its brother Warcraft 3. Here we have PC Analyst Walker Peters to talk to us about release, fan reactions, and other details about the game. Thanks for joining us, Walker.
Great to be back.
So, Warcraft 3 Reforged saw its release on January 28th. How was it received?
It has been overwhelmingly negative. Less than a week after its release, it currently holds the position of lowest user score on Metacritic, with a staggeringly low 0.5 after over 14,000 reviews.
How is this different from Blizzard's latest return to nostalgia, World of Warcraft Classic?
World of Warcraft Classic was an attempt to capture World of Warcraft in its inception in 2006, I think, without modifying or changing as much as possible. Warcraft 3 Reforged is supposed to be a full-blown remake along the lines of the recent Resident Evil 2 remake, with updated graphics and features and matchmaking.
So what has changed compared to the original Warcraft 3?
Well, part of what people are so disappointed in is not only is it not improved as much as people would have liked, but they have removed many features that were popular in the previous games, such as tournaments and ranked matchmaking. And not only that, but in an attempt to merge the classic client and the Reforged client, they have gone back and removed those features from the classic client, making this not only one of the worst remakes, but one that was so bad it retroactively made the game it was remaking worse.
Oh wow. Then how does this compare to what was promised at BlizzCon?
A lot of people are disappointed and feel like Blizzard has made some false promises that weren't upheld, and are even upset about the advertising which promises them. For example, the cutscenes were not redone with the level people expect, and some people are even claiming that's false advertising. Of course, the graphics are sort of a mixed bag, with most of the work being outsourced to a studio in Malaysia. And with all the removal of the features, it's just hard for people to get excited about this remake.
Yeah, and then how is Blizzard responding publicly?
They have not. Aside from some minor interactions on forums, the closest to any sort of official statement we've had, and I'm using that term very liberally, is when several employees from the aforementioned Malaysian art studio, Lemon Skies, made a Reddit post on the Warcraft 3 subreddit under one of the employees' personal accounts. It has since been deleted, and it really didn't communicate much other than the personal feelings of the employees there.
Yeah. So then what are your personal hopes for the future of Warcraft 3 Reforged?
Well, first of all, I'd like to be able to download the original Warcraft 3 without the changes that have been forced on it. But in terms of Warcraft 3 Reforged being improved, it needs a lot of work. The state it's in, with numerous bugs and crashes, feels more like an alpha than a fully released game. And it's going to take a lot of work before it feels like a completed $30 to $40 product.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. That's all for this week's analysis, so let's pass it on to Kristen and Laird to wrap up our first episode of the new season.
And with that, the first episode of Pixel Peak Season 4 comes to a close.
Thanks for joining us on our first venture into 2020. We have a lot of special things planned for you this spring that you won't want to miss out on.
Wait, like what?
Oh, well, there's Valentine's Day and spring break, and...
Yeah, but what are we doing for those?
Well, I'm being told that it's a secret to everybody. Just know that it will be good when it comes around.
Well, when we do have those special episodes for you, you can find us on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. on watchapptv.com, Skybest channels 20 and 1020, Spectrum channel 198, or on App State's campus television channel 23.3 until we go live in a couple of weeks.
And of course, we couldn't have been here for you without the help of our fantastic crew. Thank you to writers Jalen Curitin and Rebecca Larson, producers Tanner Mazzell, Elise Taylor, and Sydney Thompson, game reviewer Bianca Bortoluzzi, and PC analyst Walker Peters for making our first step into 2020 a triumphant one.
Thank you so much for watching, and we hope you enjoyed your stay here
on Pixel Peak.